Here is the complete story about the cursed bridge. As I approached the old, decrepit bridge, a shiver ran down my spine. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the distant howl of the wind. This was no ordinary bridge. Its rusted metal beams and rotting wooden planks whispered of secrets long buried. Legend had it that anyone who crossed this bridge was doomed to face a curse far worse than death itself. I had heard the stories all my life, tales of those who ventured onto the bridge and were never seen again. Driven by a mix of curiosity and skepticism, I decided to uncover the truth behind the chilling rumors. Armed with nothing but a flashlight and my determination, I stepped onto the bridge, each footfall echoing ominously in the stillness of the night. The bridge creaked under my weight, the sound amplified by the silence surrounding me. I glanced over the edge, but the darkness below was impenetrable. As I walked further, an inexplicable feeling of dread began to settle in. It was as if unseen eyes were watching my every move, their gaze heavy and oppressive. Halfway across, I noticed something strange. A small, faded inscription was carved into one of the wooden beams. It read, "Those who seek shall find, but not what they desire." My heart raced as I contemplated the meaning behind those words. Was it a warning, or a clue to the curse origin? Suddenly, the temperature dropped sharply, and the air became thick with a palpable sense of malevolence. Shadows began to flicker at the edges of my vision, and a low, guttural sound reverberated through the bridge. My flashlight flickered and then went out, plunging me into darkness. Panic surged through me, but I forced myself to remain calm. I had to find a way off this bridge before it was too late. As I fumbled for my flashlight, I heard the distinct sound of footsteps behind me. My breath caught in my throat as I turned around, but the darkness was impenetrable. The footsteps grew louder, more insistent, until they seemed to be right behind me. I quickened my pace, the wooden planks groaning under my hurried steps. The bridge seemed to stretch endlessly, as if mocking my attempts to escape. I stumbled and nearly fell, my heart pounding in my chest. Desperation set in as I saw a faint light in the distance, the end of the bridge. I pushed myself forward, driven by the hope of escape. As I reached the end, I glanced back one last time. The bridge loomed behind me, its dark, twisted form a stark contrast against the faint glow of the night sky. I felt a strange sense of relief, but also an unsettling realization. The curse of the bridge was not merely a tale. It was a living, breathing entity that thrived on fear and despair. I turned and walked away, but the memory of the bridge would haunt me forever. It was a place where nightmares and reality intertwined, and those who ventured onto it were forever changed. My encounter with the cursed bridge was over, but the echoes of that night would follow me wherever I went. As I left the cursed bridge behind, I hoped that the nightmare was finally over. However, the sense of dread I felt during my encounter did not dissipate. In the days that followed, I found myself unable to shake the feeling that something had followed me home. My dreams were plagued by disturbing visions of the bridge. Each night, I saw myself walking across its dark, creaking planks, only to be swallowed by the shadows that lurked beneath. I would wake in a cold sweat, my heart racing as I tried to convince myself it was all just a bad dream. One evening, driven by an overwhelming urge to understand what had happened, I returned to the bridge. The once familiar feeling of dread now seemed more like an all-consuming terror. The bridge was even more dilapidated than I remembered, as if time itself was conspiring to erode it further. The air was thick with an unnatural cold, and the silence was deafening. Determined to confront whatever was haunting me, I took a deep breath and stepped onto the bridge once again. This time, I brought a journal and a camera, hoping to document any evidence of the supernatural presence that seemed to have attached itself to me. As I walked, I could feel the temperature dropping rapidly, my breath forming frosty clouds in the air. The shadows seemed to shift and writhe with a life of their own. My camera picked up nothing unusual, but I couldn't shake the sensation of being watched. Every creak of the bridge was amplified, and each gust of wind carried whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. I reached the middle of the bridge and set up my camera, hoping to capture anything that would explain the curse. As I reviewed the footage, I noticed something chilling. The video showed an indistinct figure moving in and out of view, just beyond the reach of my flashlight. The figure appeared to be a shadowy silhouette, with eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. In a moment of clarity, I realized that the curse wasn't just a supernatural force. It was an entity that fed on fear and despair. It was designed to ensnare those who sought to uncover its secrets, ensuring that they would become a part of its dark legacy. The nights grew increasingly restless, and I began to notice strange occurrences in my home. Objects would move on their own, Cold spots appeared in various rooms, and I could hear footsteps when no one else was around. It was as if the bridge's curse had followed me, determined to spread its malevolence. One night, while attempting to sleep, I felt a presence in my room. The temperature dropped sharply, and I saw a shadowy figure standing at the foot of my bed. Its eyes glowed with an eerie light, and a cold, whispering voice filled the room, repeating the inscription from the bridge: "Those who seek shall find, but not what they desire." Desperate for answers, I researched the bridge's history, hoping to uncover its origins and find a way to break the curse. I discovered that the bridge had been built over a site of ancient rituals, where dark sacrifices were once performed. The spirits of those sacrificed were believed to have cursed the bridge, binding their suffering to it for eternity. Determined to end the torment, I decided to perform a ritual to appease the restless spirits and break the curse. I gathered the necessary items and returned to the bridge, armed with a sense of purpose. As I began the ritual, the bridge seemed to come alive with malevolent energy. Shadows twisted and roared, and a powerful wind howled around me. I completed the ritual, chanting the words I had learned and offering a token of peace to the spirits. For a moment, the darkness seemed to recede, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. I felt a profound sense of relief, as if a great weight had been lifted from my shoulders. As I left the bridge for the final time, I hoped that the curse had been broken. The bridge was silent, its dark secrets finally put to rest. But even now, I cannot shake the feeling that the curse might not be entirely vanquished. The memory of that bridge, and the horrors it harbored, will forever be a part of me. The experience has changed me in ways I cannot fully explain, and the shadow of the cursed bridge continues to linger in the corners of my mind.